Independent practice, question number 1. The histogram shows the average animal speeds in miles per hour of several animals. Describe the shape of the distribution. When we take a look at the graph, we see that we are graphing average animal speeds. And the slowest animal is going between 1 and 19 miles an hour. From 1 to 19 miles per hour, all the way to 2 and 219 miles per hour. So that is a very fast animal. Let's describe the data. The shape of the distribution is not symmetric. Notice that we cannot draw a line, a vertical line, anywhere where the left half and right half would be the same. The data is not symmetrical. There is a cluster from 1 to 79, so this would be a cluster. The distribution has a gap from 80 to 199. So we have a gap right here. The peak of the distribution is on the left side of the data in the interval 20 to 39. So if we were to make this a mountain, the peak would be right there. And the peak is at the interval 20 to 39. There is an outlier in the interval 200 to 219. And although we're not calculating this, we can obviously see that this is an outlier right here. Okay? Right here is an outlier. Question 2. The box plot shows the science test scores for Mrs. Everly's students. Describe the shape of the distribution. The shape of the distribution is symmetric. We can draw a line here and the left half looks just like the right half. The left side of the data looks like the right side. Also, there are no outliers. An outlier would be indicated by a separate dot either on the right or on the left. Since we don't have any of those, we know that there are no outliers. So for this, for question A, they want us to find the appropriate measures to describe the center and spread of the distribution. So the measures of center would be the median, or the mean. The measures of spread would be the interquartile range, or it would be the mean absolute deviation. When your data is symmetric, you're going to use the mean and the mean absolute deviation. This is what we would normally do. When your data is not symmetric, let's say it's skewed somehow, Then we're going to find the median and the interquartile range. Let's take a look at our graph. Is our graph symmetric? I'm going to draw a line just kind of to outline the graph. Does that look symmetric to you? It is not symmetric. So this means that we would find the mean and the interquartile range. So here it says justify your response based on the shape of the distribution. So basically they're asking us now to find the median and the interquartile range. In order to do that, we're going to list the data from the line plot in order from least to greatest. Now we need to find the middle number. $23.5 is our median. To find the interquartile range, we need to break our data into 4 equal parts, or quartiles. Now I'm going to find the middle of the lower half. This is 21. And 24. $21 is quartile 1. Quartile 1. This is quartile 2, and this is quartile 3. So for the interquartile range, we need to go and find the difference between quartile 1 and quartile 3. So the IQR equals 24 subtract 21. So the IQR equals 3. And that is actually, I apologize, that's question B. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Write a few sentences describing the center and spread of the distribution using the appropriate measures. The sample answer: the data are centered around 23.5 text messages. The spread of the data around the center is about 3 text messages. Question 4. Identify structure. Fill in the graphic organizer to show when to use each measure regarding the shape of the distribution. Mean would be for symmetric graphs. Median would be for not symmetric graphs. Interquartile range goes with not symmetric graphs. And the mean absolute deviation is for symmetric graphs. Question 5. A distribution that is not symmetric is called skewed. A distribution that is skewed left shows data that is more spread out on the left side than on the right side. A distribution that is skewed right shows data that is more spread out on the right side than on the left side. The box plot shows the heights in feet of several trees. A. Explain how you know the distribution is not symmetric. I know that this graph is not symmetric because the lengths of the whiskers are not equal. The middle part here, right here, the box itself, is symmetric, but the whiskers are not of equal length, so they are not symmetric. This means that the whole graph is not symmetric. Is the distribution skewed left or skewed right? Explain. The distribution is skewed left. The data are more spread out on the left side due to the long left whisker. So, if you have a graph where they're both the same, this is symmetric. This is skewed left because it has a longer whisker on the left. And this graph is skewed right because it has a longer whisker on the right. Question C. Use appropriate measures to describe the center and spread of the distribution. Justify your choice of measure based on the shape of the distribution. This graph is not symmetric. So our choices of center are median and mean. Our choices for spread are interquartile range and range. So the center would be, we have to pick median or mean. So we're going to pick median because it's not symmetric. And we have to choose interquartile range and range. We're going to pick interquartile range. Use the median and interquartile range to describe the center and spread since the distribution is not symmetric. The data are centered around 40 feet. The spread of the data around the center is 10 feet. So how did we get those answers? All right, so the median is right here. And remember, interquartile range is the difference between quartile 1 and quartile 3. So that would be from 35 to 45, which is a difference of 10 feet. Hot problems. Question 6. Model with mathematics. Draw a line plot for which the median is the most appropriate measure to describe the center of the distribution. So they want us to draw a line plot, and they want the line plot to represent a graph where the median is the most appropriate measure of center. So this means that our line plot can be, it cannot be symmetric, so not symmetric. All right, so let's make a graph. Let's call our graph pets at home. And we'll start with 0, 1, 2, 3. All right, so we've interviewed a bunch of people, and 2 people have 0 pets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people have 1 pet. Six people have 2 pets. 3 people have 3 pets. 1 person has 4 pets. And then let's say for whatever reason we have 1 person that has 12 pets, okay? And we have 1 person that has 14 pets. Maybe they counted like all their fish or something like that. All right. Well, I want to prove to you that the median is a better representation of the data than the mean. Okay, so let's record our data. We have 0, 0, and then I said we had 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 3. And 4, 12, and 14. So if we find the median, we're going to count to the middle. So our middle number is 2. Okay, so our median equals 2 pets. Now let's compare this to the mean. Well, for the mean, we'd have to add up all of these numbers and find the sum. The sum, when we add this all together, equals 56. And now we have to divide that by the number of numbers that we have, which is the number of x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 x's. So we're going to divide that by 19. And we're going to get 2.9. And since you can't have 9/10 of an animal, we're going to round that to 3. So the mean equals 3 pets. Now I realize that this is only one number off, okay? But I want you to think about this here. The better answer is 2 because 3 pets, I only have, if we went with the mean, only 3 people had more than that. So actually, 3 is on the higher end of what a typical family has in their home, okay? 2 would be more typical, which is really what we're finding. We're finding like what is the center? What do most people have on average, okay? So the median in this particular situation would represent our data better. 2 animals is a better representation than 3 because 3 is actually in the upper ends and it's not really represented well because I really only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that have 3 or more, whereas the majority of my people actually have less than that. Okay, so there you go. Question 7. Persevere with problems. Explain why you cannot describe the specific location of center and spread of the box plot shown using the most appropriate measures. All right, so they want us to explain why we cannot describe the specific location of the center and spread of the box plot shown using the most appropriate measure. Well, this graph is symmetrical, which means the best measure of center is the mean. The best measure of spread is the range. All right? What this graph is showing us, though, is the median. It does not provide the mean because I don't know how many pieces of data there are, and I don't know what the specific values of the data are, so I can't really calculate the mean. The distribution is symmetric. The appropriate measures to describe the center and spread are the mean and the mean absolute deviation. A box plot shows the location of the median and the interquartile range, but does not show the location of the mean or the mean absolute deviation. Now, I do have to say that the range we could figure out because it's 80 subtract 40, which equals 40, okay? But they want us to find the mean absolute deviation, which I can't find because obviously the first thing you need to find is the mean, okay? Question number 8, justify conclusions. Tira created the dot plot shown to represent the ages of the staff of the community pool. She concludes that since there is a peak at 19, the median is 19. She also concludes the two data values that are 25 to be outliers, so there are no gaps. Evaluate her conclusions. All right, so she's concluding that since there is a peak at 19, the median is 19. Well, let's check to see if she's correct. We put the data in order from least to greatest. In this case, the median is not the peak. It's 19.5 is the median. Now, sometimes the peak could be the median, but it's not always the median. So right now, the median is 19.5. Her next conclusion is that there are two data values that are outliers at 25. So there are no gaps. Okay, even though these are outliers, I guess she's considering that they're really not like representative of the data. There still is a gap, okay? And the gap is right here. This is the gap. All right. The median of the data set is 19.5. Peaks in a data set do not necessarily correspond to the median. The data values of 25 are outliers, but there is a gap between 21 and 25. It has been my pleasure to complete these pages with you. Rock on, and this is Mrs. Smith signing off.